Today's show was brought to you by Viking-Industrial.com.
All right, lesson 2, shading and lighting. So what we're going to use here is we're going to use a square or a rectangle. We're going to pretend it's a building. So you've got a building here. And the building, we're going to make it 3D like we learned before. Now, can you see the top of a building? Usually not. So you draw the dimensions like this. And what you'll have is a sunrise, somewhere. Here's your sun in the sky. And the sun shines on the building at this sort of an angle. And that's really your choice, how you want to do that. You can pick your direction. But if the sun's shining at this angle, it could be hitting this face, which makes it light. But this side is going to be dark because it's opposite. So you've got a dark side here. And you can see how we can shadow that. Now this is hatching. This is what's called hatching for that sort of a shade. Then you've got, we'll do another one here, it's going to keep coming. So here's another building. So with this building, we're going to do another method. It's called cross-hatching. And cross-hatching is like this, and you cross it like this. And that will give you a bit of a darker color to it. And you can do this with a pen or a pencil. It doesn't really matter. So with your pen, there's your hatching and your cross hatching. And you can also use those as textures for drawings when you do drawings. So with your pencil, you want to do some fine shading. The way to do fine shading is going to be like this. So you've got your, if you don't like these lines coming up here, you can do a much finer shading using the flat of the pencil. Probably the best way is to do it whatever feels comfortable to you. So this, instead of having lines, you get more of a solid tone to it using the side of the pencil. And there's your side. And then another way to do it is using what's called stippling. So here's your box. And stippling is dots. And you can go all day long drawing these dots to make it darker. But stippling is kind of an acquired taste. Not a lot of people using that in the cartoon world or comic book world today. So that's stippling. And then there's various other kinds you can do, which are kind of variations between all of these. So say you wanted to do your own your own pattern on the building. You could do some hatching like this, like that, and make your own lines. And this will give it kind of a texture, which is kind of neat. And this is actually, I use this texture for hair when I'm drawing people. It kind of gives that shaved part of your head. If you have a shaved part, it gives them kind of a neat look where it looks like real hair. But you can do textures like that and patterns, which will give it shade, but also some sort of a grainy feel to it. Alright, now let's talk about lighting. Now the way it works is you've got a light bulb or a sun or something that provides light for your picture. And it's going to come from a certain area, here, here, or here, and it's going to point down at your object. It's always going to point at whatever it is you're drawing. So if you can imagine your light, and you can actually get a light, say you're doing a still life or something like that, grab a light bulb and look at it and see where the shadow's following. So say you have a cylinder, let's do a simple cylinder here. There's your cylinder, and the light's coming from this direction. If it's coming from this direction, it's going to hit to about right here in the middle. The light's going to light up this side, and then this side is going to be dark. So you don't just darken it in. Although that is a style you could do, is just a solid one color shadow where you darken it all the way, but you want to shade it. So this is what you would call a hard light. This is a soft light, where it fades out. So you've got, darker in the back, lighter in the front. And then you get to decide if the inside is hollow. So is this a solid top? If it is, it stays white, like this. If it's hollow on the inside, your shadow is actually going to fall around this area. So you would have darker here, and it would get lighter as it goes. So you're going to fade it in. If you were doing a hard shadow, you would do it like that, and it would just be solid. You wouldn't have this gradual sort of fading in. Do a little cross hatching there, like that. But you're also going to have a shadow that comes down on the ground. So you can draw your shadow here. You want to figure out the lines. If it's coming from here, it's going to come down this way, and you could actually put it on this spot here. So that's your shadow there, and you know that it's gonna, you just follow the direction and draw the line from here to your light source. So this one here would come this way, and you'd have a much larger shadow, and that's how you know how long to make your shadows. You just follow that lighting source. So that's a cylinder, and that's how you make it really pop and zing out. You can do a ball too. A ball, you have to practice every single shape, so do a ball. And this time we're going to have the light coming from straight down. And if it comes from straight down, your shadow is going to be somewhere around here. So this part underneath is going to get darker as it goes. And then you're going to have, your lines coming straight down. So it's really just a small shadow underneath, like that. And you've got your shade here. And so that's how you do a ball. Let's do a pyramid. So here's your pyramid, and your light's coming from this direction now. So the back side is going to be here. This is going to be dark, and it's going to be all the same color because it's a flat surface. It's not going to be shaded like a round surface. It's just going to be one solid color, and you don't want to draw your shadow same shape as your building or your object. And a lot of times what people do to get the color is you draw the shadow a different shade, because this is just black and white. You draw your shadow a different shade than the actual object. The object is going to have a little bit of reflected light on it. So this will actually be lighter because light bounces back off of other objects in the world and makes it that way. And this way you can do on the side, say it's a little bit in the shade but not as much. Yeah, there you go. So there's your pyramid. Let's see what else. What other shapes can we do? Let's do a Borg floating ship, which is just a cube. And it looks like that. Alright, so let's say your light is coming down, and it's got all the light on top, but a little bit on the side here, and then a lot over here. So this would be your dark side. So there's that. And this one's floating in the air. It's not actually on the ground, so your shadow is going to come down something like here and here to create a square. So there's your square shadow on the ground. It's going to be at an angle, so that one's floating. And let's see, what other shapes can we do? Let's do an odd shape. So say you have your cylinder and you want it to be bent, like a macaroni noodle. You got that. And we're going to put a hole in this end. Alright, so there's your macaroni noodle. And the light is coming down from, let's put it from the top. So we're going to follow this shape. Your shadow is going to follow it all the way around here. And this is actually going to be a little bit of math because it's going to change. It's not just going to stay like that. It's actually going to start here and you'll have a shadow on this end. But as it comes down, it's going to equalize with this direction. So your shadow is going to be here. It's going to be underneath because the light's coming from the top. So this is not underneath here. So what you do is, see if your eraser works, because mine doesn't. So you have some shadow coming on this end, and then you'll have it down here at the bottom. So it's going to come on the bottom edge. It's always on the bottom if your light is from the top. Whatever the light source is, it's the opposite. So there you go. And most of the top here is going to be shaded. There may be a little bit back here because this starts curving around, so you'll have a little bit on the back side there. And then you're also going to have inside the tunnel, and pretty much the entire inside is going to be dark, except for possibly at the bottom here, if it can get inside here, and that's really up for you to decide, is if it's going to make it to this inside area or not. So this would be the whole inside shaded, which would be appropriate for this light scenario. If your light was at another source, you would do it here so you can see a little bit of white on the inside there, and then your outside is like that. And that's how you shade curved objects. Let's do one more. How about two of them together? Let's put two of them together. Let's do a square and a pyramid. And we'll have it, let's put it this way. There you go. Square and a pyramid together. So it's a house, essentially, or some sort of church or something, with a pointy roof and a spire on top. And we'll make that round. Alright, so your light's coming from this direction here. It's going to hit this side, so that's the white side. This is the dark side. You got a dark shadow in the back here, and a dark shadow here. And then over here you got a little bit of shadow and texture. So we'll just put that through there like that. And then when it hits this, it's going to come down this way here. And it's going to hit this here. So you're going to have that line. And you can do your square first. So this line here always points towards the light source. It's always pointing towards this area here. You just point it at that. And then you've got your cone on top of it. So there's that. And then you've got this one here. So, well, it's going to come out farther, isn't it? It's going to get longer and longer. Like that. You got your shadow on top. And there's your shadow. So it's just a long, long shadow. This one's supposed to line up with this corner here. And then as this cone slopes away. Yeah, so that's how you would do multiple objects. And that's it.
Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button.